The funny thing about snakes is they swear they're invisible, right up until someone turns the lights on. That line alone is enough to make your enemies choke, because the lights are on now, and everyone can finally see just how far that group or so-called family went to hurt you. Their little secrets are not secrets anymore. Their whispers have turned into echoes. Their fake smiles have cracked. The mask is sliding off, and the world is looking straight at what they did. No more pretending, no more hiding behind concern or care. The truth is out, and it's embarrassing for them. Think about it like this. Imagine a group of people building a whole trap around you. They measure the floor, they rehearse the fall, they even practice their surprised faces for when you hit the ground. They think everything is perfect, like they're directing some twisted movie. Then suddenly, the spotlight switches, the camera flips, and every single person watching sees that the family wasn't a family. They were the problem. They weren't helping you. They were hurting you on purpose. And the funniest part, they weren't even good at hiding it. All their little tricks look clownish now. Obvious, sloppy, like amateurs trying to control a storm with a paper umbrella. Here's a fact that should make the chosen ones smile. People don't plot against someone they consider weak. Nobody schemes against a nobody. Nobody wastes late-night calls, group chats, fake stories, and emotional traps on someone who doesn't matter. They went this far because you matter too much. And now that everything they tried to hide is out in the open, the universe is basically saying, "See, you weren't imagining anything. You were right the whole time." Before we go deeper into this madness, thank you, Chosen One, for being here. Don't forget to pay this message back by pressing like and subscribe. You're not just supporting a video, you're helping push this truth out to more souls who need it. You're part of a force. You help spread the light in a world that sometimes feels allergic to honesty. Thank you for being part of this mission. Now breathe, Chosen One, because we're going right back into the topic with full clarity. The cat's out of the bag. They got caught. And the truth isn't floating quietly, it's roaring. That group, that family, that circle you trusted, they went way out of their way to break you. This wasn't a small mistake. This wasn't an argument. They pulled strings behind your back. They set traps. They pretended to protect you while pushing you toward pain. They talked sweet in daylight and sharpened knives in the dark. They studied you the way some people study a puzzle, always trying to find a weak point they could rip open. But here's where it gets wild. Their entire plan depended on one thing, nobody ever finding out. And now everyone knows. That's why they're panicking. That's why they're scrambling. That's why they look stressed. Their whole identity was built on keeping you confused. They needed you doubting yourself. They needed you questioning every step so they could control the story. Because once you stop doubting, you start seeing. And once you start seeing, their whole operation falls apart. Chosen One, I need you to understand something simple. They weren't fighting you because you were weak. They were fighting you because you were the only one in the room strong enough to expose them by simply existing. You didn't have to do anything. Your presence alone made them feel small. Your growth highlighted every part of them that they tried to hide. Your strength felt like a threat to their comfort. And instead of getting better, they got bitter. This group went so far because watching you rise made them feel powerless. They couldn't stop comparing themselves to you. They couldn't handle the fact that the universe kept putting opportunities in your path. So they did what insecure people always do. They tried to pull you down instead of pulling themselves up. They hid their jealousy in advice. They hid their fear in concern. They pretended to support you while praying you'd fail. It's sick, but it's real. And when they realized you weren't breaking as easily as they hoped, they pushed harder. They used silence as punishment. They used gossip as a weapon. They used your kindness as a doorway to walk in and rearrange the whole room. They studied your emotions like a manual, hoping to turn them against you. But the universe has a funny way of flipping the script. Every time they tried to bury you, you grew. Every time they tried to weaken you, you learned. Every time they tried to confuse you, you became clearer. What they meant for your breaking turned into your building. Now they're exposed, and exposure is a beast they can't run from. The universe doesn't allow lies to win forever. It lets people dig their own holes, and this group dug a crater. They wanted to hurt you quietly, but the truth exposed them loudly. Everyone can see the pattern now, the manipulation, the fakery, the weird obsession they had with your life. They were playing chess against someone who wasn't even trying to compete, and somehow they still lost. Chosen One, don't underestimate how much your strength bothers them. Your energy alone disrupts their entire lifestyle. Your confidence, your growth, your resilience, it makes them nervous in ways they'd never admit. That's why they formed a whole group strategy against you. Nobody goes that far unless you're carrying something rare. Your existence is a reminder of everything they failed at. Your progress is proof that you didn't need their approval, and your survival is the punchline to every trap they built. Let's be real. They didn't expect you to still be standing. They wanted you exhausted, drained, questioning your worth. That was the goal. But here you are, stronger, sharper, wiser. And that's the part they can't swallow. You weren't supposed to figure out their intentions. You weren't supposed to wake up. You weren't supposed to see behind the curtain. But you did. And now they're exposed, not just to you, but to everyone watching. Here's another fact to keep in your pocket. The universe loves receipts. It lets people reveal themselves through their actions. And this group revealed everything. They thought their tricks were genius. They thought they were in control, but all they did was prove your value. All they did was confirm your importance. All they did was show the world what you've been dealing with while staying true to yourself. You're not just rising, you're rising in full view, and nothing scares them more. And Chosen One, for real, thank you for being here through all this noise. Before we peel back the next layer of what this group or family actually did, drop a comment with the number 999 so I know you're awake to the truth that's finally coming out. And if you want to push this mission even further, bless the team behind this message with a super thanks. It takes time, energy, and a whole lot of fire to expose this kind of chaos, and your support is what keeps this truth moving. Whether it's a cent or a stack, it all fuels the message. And now, Chosen One, take a breath, lock in, and don't move. If you've really lived through what these people put you through, you're going to feel something pull you to stay until the very end. Let's get into it step by step, because what comes next will explain everything. Number 1. When you set a trap for the Chosen One, don't be surprised when you fall into it first. Funny how people dig a hole for you, then scream when gravity drags them in instead. That one stings them straight in the chest, and it should. Because the truth is simple, these people didn't fear your downfall. They feared your awakening. They weren't terrified of you being weak. Weakness made them comfortable. What scared them was the moment you'd finally snap out of the fog they threw over you and see the game for what it was. They needed you confused, drained, isolated, second-guessing your own thoughts. They never expected you to make it this far, not because they thought you couldn't, but because they desperately hoped you wouldn't. They weren't betting against your ability, they were praying for your blindness. Think about it. Why would a group of supposedly loving people spend so much energy trying to break one person? Why would a whole family-level circle get so obsessed with your steps, your choices, your emotions? Why would they move like a secret committee plotting your collapse behind the scenes? Simple answer. You remembering your power was their worst nightmare. Your clarity was their biggest threat. Your confidence was the one thing that could destroy every lie they built. They didn't want you strong. They wanted you stuck. And the wildest part? They treated your life like a game they were entitled to rig. They tampered with energy they never respected. They tried to hijack the universe's timing like they were some kind of directors calling the shots. They whispered lies in the dark and performed innocence in the light. They twisted every truth, rewrote every event, and painted you as the villain in a story where you were the one carrying the light the whole time. They weren't just messy, they were calculated. They were working overtime to make sure you never saw your reflection clearly. But here's the beautiful catch. The universe doesn't let frauds run the show forever. It watches quietly, then corrects loudly. These people played with a force they didn't understand, and now that force is answering them back. They thought their silence would break you, but it trained you. They thought their isolation would crush you, but it sharpened you. They thought the darkness they pushed you into would swallow you whole, but it became the place you learned to see without light. Chosen One, look at your life right now. Do you see what happened? The silence you endured is now roaring like thunder. Every tear they caused, it's becoming the very thing exposing who they really are. Every shadow they hid in is betraying them one by one. This isn't revenge. This isn't karma. This is universal balance kicking in, and it's hitting them harder than anything you could have done yourself. Here's a question that might be running through your mind. Why me? Why did they go this far for someone who was just trying to live? Because they saw your strength before you did. They saw your resilience, your insight, your growth, your rare energy. They saw a future version of you that scared them. They knew once you stepped into your full self, they'd lose control. They feared the day you'd rise. They feared the moment you'd stop listening to their fake guidance. They feared the second you'd stop doubting your own power. And now that day is here. Let's be real. Your existence is the scandal they can't cover up anymore. You being alive and standing is the plot twist their entire storyline wasn't built to handle. They didn't expect you to make it out of the maze they built. They didn't expect you to recover from the emotional traps they laid out. They didn't expect you to notice the gaslighting, the gossip, the manipulation disguised as advice. They didn't expect you to escape the cage they spent years constructing. But here you are, and now they're losing it. Their little circle is cracking. Their narratives are falling apart. Their fake unity can't hold together under the weight of truth. The same mouths that whispered about you are choking on their own stories. The same hands that threw dirt on your name are now the ones buried under the consequences of their own actions. That's the part they never planned for. That's the part they never saw coming. They tried to bury you, but you turned into something they couldn't kill. The universe doesn't play favorites, but it does protect balance. And balance always snaps back. They thought they were in control of your story. They thought they could decide who you were, how far you'd go, or whether you'd rise at all. But chosen ones don't break the way regular people break. You weren't chosen because life is easy for you. You were chosen because you can handle storms that would erase other people. You carry strength that doesn't require permission. You have resilience that doesn't come from comfort. You walk with a force that doesn't need validation. That's why their attacks didn't work. That's why their plans are collapsing now. They played a dangerous game with someone who wasn't even trying to fight back. They wanted you exhausted, but you became focused. They wanted you confused, but you became wise. They wanted you broken, but all they did was reveal who they really were. They dug a grave for you, but the universe simply turned it around and made them face their own intentions. You don't need revenge. You don't need payback. Your rise is the payback. Your clarity is the consequence. Your growth is the punishment they never planned for. You becoming stronger is the ending they never wrote. You being here, standing tall after everything they tried, that's the part that destroys them. Chosen One, understand this clearly. You are the storm they tried to hide from. You are the truth they tried to bury. You are the reminder of everything they failed to control. And now that the truth is out, They can't run from it. They can't silence it. They can't twist it. The cat's out of the bag, and their actions are finally speaking louder than their lies. And the best part? You didn't have to push them. The universe did the work for you. You were never the one falling into the trap. You were the one walking out of it while they tripped over their own strings. The grave they dug wasn't for you. It became the hole they're tumbling into now. Stand tall. Your survival exposed them. Your rise embarrassed them. Your strength shattered their illusions. And this is only the beginning of their unraveling. Number 2. The great accounting has begun, and they're sitting in the front row of their own expose. Wild how people swear they're winning, right up until the scoreboard turns around and shows every foul they thought nobody saw. That line alone makes your enemies twitch, and it should, because everything they did in the dark is lighting up now. Every hidden move they made is glowing under the universe's spotlight like neon graffiti they can never wash off. They thought they were the masterminds of your downfall, moving pieces like geniuses, plotting like villains in a cheap movie. But the joke is simple. They were never playing chess. They were playing themselves. And now the great accounting has begun, and they're the ones being counted. The universe doesn't lose track. It keeps every whisper like a voice memo. They forgot that while they were trying to break you, every lie, every twist, every fake apology was being recorded in a place they can't hack. They thought they could outsmart the universe, outmaneuver what was meant for you, rewrite the story like they were the authors. But the universe isn't blind, it's patient, and patience is its most dangerous weapon. Imagine this. Someone thinks they're moving silently, creeping through the shadows, hiding their intentions behind sweet words and fake hugs. They think they're invisible. Meanwhile, every step they take lights up like footprints in wet cement. Permanent, obvious, inescapable. That's what they didn't understand. Their betrayal wasn't stealthy. It was loud. They just assumed you were too hurt to hear it. And chosen one, I know what you might be wondering. If the universe knew all along, why didn't it stop them? Because the universe wasn't teaching them a lesson. It was teaching you a truth. A truth about strength, clarity, endurance, and trust. A truth that says, you only know who's real when life forces them to reveal themselves. Now look at them. Look closely. Notice the cracks. Notice the shaky voices, the awkward eyes, the sudden guilt, the sudden panic. That's not random. That's not stress. That's the universe knocking on their door with every receipt they swore didn't exist. When the truth shows up, lies sprint out the back door. This wasn't normal betrayal. This wasn't a simple argument or a petty misunderstanding. This was warfare. Psychological warfare, emotional warfare, social warfare. They fought dirty, but tried to pretend they were clean. They stabbed you with invisible knives and then shook their heads like innocent bystanders when you bled. And here's the part that shakes them to the core. The universe doesn't forget quiet wounds. It doesn't overlook subtle cruelty. It doesn't ignore emotional sabotage because it was hidden. No. It waits, it watches, and when it collects everything. They thought they were controlling the board. They thought they were 10 steps ahead, pushing you into corners, isolating you, feeding you half-truths, turning your own strength against you. They thought their strategy was flawless, like some genius-level operation. But every step they took was a confession. Every fake smile was evidence. Every whisper was a signature. And now the great accounting has begun. Imagine this, a bank that never forgets a debt, never misplaces a transaction, never closes its books. That's how the universe works. They spent years taking from you, draining you, undermining you, laughing at your pain, feeding off your confusion. but they never realized they were building a bill they'd eventually have to pay. And chosen one, the funniest part. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't need revenge. You didn't need a plan. Your healing became the trigger. Your clarity became the alarm. Your rise became the proof. When the universe decides it's collection day, nobody gets extensions. You're not rising just because. You're rising because the debt has come due. You're rising because the lies they built their power on have collapsed. They used your hurt like decoration, showing off your pain like trophies. They bragged with their silence. They fed off your confusion. They enjoyed the power imbalance. But everything they built was made of sand, and now the waves are here. Look at them now. Look at the way they avoid eye contact. Look at the sudden kindness, the sudden fear, the sudden attempts to rewrite history again. That's not kindness, it's panic. That's not respect, it's collapse. They're not apologizing because they changed. They're apologizing because they're exposed. And you might be asking, why does it all come crashing down now? Because the universe doesn't intervene until you're strong enough to see the truth without breaking. Before, exposing them would have crushed you. Now, it strengthens you. That's the timing they didn't see coming. Imagine them standing in a room where all the lights turn on at once. Every lie shows up like graffiti. Every act of betrayal blares through speakers. Every fake gesture replays like a projection on the wall. That's what's happening. Their reality is turning against them. Their own actions are screaming louder than anything you could ever say. And chosen one, here's the part they really hate. Your silence used to protect them. Now it exposes them. You outlasted them. You endured everything they threw at you without losing your heart. You survived their manipulation. You survived their emotional traps. You survived their attempts to make you doubt your own mind. And now your survival is the exact thing that proves their guilt. They wanted you broken, yet you're rising. They wanted you lost, yet you're clearer than ever. They wanted you silent, yet your truth speaks louder now. They built their whole identity on dimming your light. But now your healing is a spotlight, cutting through every lie. The universe is done waiting. No more warnings, no more quiet messages, no more subtle signs. This is Correction Day. The same group that tried to bleed you quietly is now bleeding truth publicly. The same people who called you dramatic are now overwhelmed by the consequences they created. The same ones who swore they were helping are now drowning in the evidence that they were sabotaging you all along. Imagine them flipping through their memories like files, trying to find one moment where they didn't go too far. They won't find one. They crossed lines like it was a hobby. They played with your emotions like they were disposable. They gambled with your trust like it had no value. And now the bill is due. This is the great accounting. This is the turning of the tide. This is the moment the universe says, enough. And here's the final truth. You didn't win because you fought harder. You won because the universe stepped in when you finally saw your own worth. You're not just standing. You're standing in the light of justice they never believed would reach them. You're not just rising. You're rising at the exact moment they're falling apart. The accounting has begun, and you are the proof they never escaped the consequences. They only delayed them. Number 3. The stage they built for your downfall just turned into their public confession. Funny how people choreograph your humiliation, then panic when the spotlight flips and shows their fingerprints on everything. That's exactly what happened here. They built the trap like they were directors of some twisted play. They picked the costumes, rehearsed the lies, practiced the fake concern. They thought they were so clever. They thought you'd crumble on cue. But the moment the lights hit, every shadow they hid in lit up like a crime scene. Imagine this. They set a stage expecting you to fall through the floor, but instead, the universe turned that floor into glass, and now everyone can see them standing underneath it, holding the saw. They didn't just expose you, they exposed themselves. They didn't realize the trap they crafted was actually a spotlight waiting to swing their way. And I know you might be thinking, why does the truth always come out now? Because the universe doesn't rush. It waits until the noise dies down and then hits play on the footage they thought they deleted. Every whisper they spread is looping back like an echo they can't shut off. Every smear attempt is bouncing off walls and slapping them in the face. When you weaponize lies, don't be shocked when the recoil hits harder than the shot. They wanted you erased. Now you're unforgettable. They tried to write your ending but forgot one thing. You hold the pen, and the universe. It rewrites anything that wasn't meant for you. The masks they wore are melting under pressure. The script they rehearsed is falling apart in their hands. They thought they could outsmart fate, outmaneuver truth, outrun consequences, but you can't outsmart a blueprint that never had your name on the losing side. Stand there and let them deal with the spotlight they created. Their stage, their script, their lies, and now their exposure. Number 4. When truth arrives, it doesn't knock, it breaks the door off its hinges. Lies look strong until truth walks in and they scatter like roaches under a lamp. That's exactly what's happening to them right now. They spent so long painting this perfect performance, acting innocent, acting calm, acting loyal, but truth isn't impressed by acting. Truth doesn't care about rehearsed emotions or pretty excuses. Truth shows up raw, loud, and uninvited. It doesn't wait to be introduced. It storms in and flips the whole room. Imagine their lies like glitter, cute for a second, shiny under low light, but absolutely useless the moment a real flame shows up. And that flame is here now. Their house of illusions isn't just cracking, it's catching fire from the inside out. All the little tricks they used to hide behind, useless. The crowd can see the wires, the panic, the shaky hands trying to keep their story together. Their performance melted before they even realized the show was over. And chosen one, you might wonder, why didn't truth show up sooner? Because truth doesn't rush. It waits until the moment where the impact lands hardest. It waits until the lies get comfortable, until the masks glue themselves on, until the actors believe they're untouchable. Then it strikes like wildfire, immediate, undeniable, unforgiving. Truth doesn't defend you, it exposes them. You didn't need to scream your innocence. You didn't need to fight for belief. You just had to outlast the illusion. And you did. You survived long enough for the truth to catch up. And now that it has, it's burning everything that wasn't real. They're not falling apart because of you. They're falling apart because their lies finally gave out. A lie can't carry the weight of consequences forever. And now, truth is doing the heavy lifting. Number 5. Their throne of lies is finally collapsing under their own weight. A kingdom built on lies doesn't fall, it disintegrates the moment truth breathes on it. That's exactly what's happening to them right now. They stack their little throne using stolen bricks, stolen stories, stolen moments, stolen narratives. They thought if they held the higher seat, they controlled the truth. But thrones built from deceit don't stand. They rot. And the rumbling you sense isn't chaos. It's correction rolling in like an overdue earthquake. Imagine this. Someone building a giant tower with cardboard, duct tape, and arrogance. They decorate it, polish it, show it off. It looks solid until the first drop of rain. Then suddenly the whole structure melts in their hands. That's what's happening. Their tower isn't being attacked. It's collapsing under its own fraud. And maybe you've wondered, why are they so quiet now? Why are the loudest critics suddenly mute? Because the truth is touching them now. Back then, they felt brave enough to call you dramatic, sensitive, overthinking, too much. Now those same voices won't even make eye contact. They're stepping away from the collapse they built. hoping nobody notices who was sitting on top of it. Silence is the loudest confession a liar can make. This isn't revenge. This is balance correcting itself. You're not watching them fall, you're watching your truth rise. You're seeing the universe confirm every instinct they told you was wrong. That isolation they forced on you, it wasn't exile, it was protection. The universe was removing you from the blast radius before the tower gave way. Their fake alliances, their gaslighting sessions, their smear campaigns, they're all crashing at the same time because lies don't support each other. They implode. You were the warning they laughed at, the truth they mocked. And now the silence they're drowning in is proof you were right the whole time. Number 6. When the dots finally connect, their mask doesn't slip. It explodes. The thing about lies is they age like spoiled milk. Eventually the smell exposes everything. And that's exactly where they're standing now, choking on the stench of their own performance. For the longest time, people didn't believe you. Not because you were wrong, but because the show they put on was loud, polished and dripping with fake innocence. They rehearsed their roles so well that the crowd bought every line. But masks aren't permanent. They crack, they sweat, they crumble, and when the pieces finally connect, the illusion dies instantly. Imagine this, a giant puzzle dumped on the floor. At first, nobody sees the picture. It just looks like chaos. But with time, clarity snaps into place piece by piece. The weird pauses, the recycled excuses, the accidental lies, the sudden mood shifts, the fake smiles that never reached their eyes. It all forms a pattern now, clean, sharp, undeniable. What once felt random now exposes itself as strategy. They weren't reacting, they were planning. And I know you've asked yourself, was I imagining everything? Was I too sensitive, too cautious? No. You were reading the energy in real time. They were the ones pretending. You weren't paranoid, you were perceptive. They just counted on your silence to make them look sane. Nothing exposes a liar faster than time. It's the one test they always fail. Every lie they told had a trail. Every excuse had a crack. Every performance had a glitch. The universe doesn't forget details, and now those details are lining up like receipts on a table. The same people who once thought you were exaggerating are suddenly staring at the pattern like it's a crime scene. The illusion they built is cracking from the inside. People are waking up. Their charm no longer works. Their stories don't match. Their energy feels off. Their mask isn't slipping. It's shattering into 1,000 sharp pieces. You didn't need to convince anyone. You didn't need to fight for the truth. All you had to do was survive long enough for the dots to connect. And now, the truth is doing the talking for you. Number 7. When the spotlight stays on, even the best actors melt. A lie can survive the dark, but it dies the second a spotlight hits its face. And that's exactly what's happening to them now. They performed their lies so flawlessly that they started drinking their own delusion, thinking the world would never look behind the curtain. But when the lights stay on too long, the actors sweat. The forced smiles shake, the lines get sloppy. The truth seeps through their makeup like a crack they can't cover anymore. Imagine this. A stage built for their grand performance, a whole production designed to make you look small. They dimmed the lights on your truth and turned the brightness up on their lies, thinking they could blind everyone into believing them. But the universe flipped the switch, and suddenly the glare is on them. They're standing center stage, exposed, caught in their own script. And the crowd? They're not cheering. They're not fooled. They're not clapping. They're staring in shock, finally seeing what you saw from the very beginning. Spotlights don't lie. They reveal. Their kingdom of illusion is falling apart live, piece by piece. Every line they rehearsed is backfiring. Every dramatic sigh, every crocodile tear, every manipulative gesture, they all look ridiculous now. Emotion without truth is just acting, and nobody's buying tickets to their show anymore. You might be wondering, do I need to say something? Do I need to defend myself? The answer is no. You don't need to fight. You don't need to argue. You don't need to lift a finger. Because when truth takes center stage, lies can't compete. The spotlight they tried to weaponize against you is now burning through every mask they ever wore. You're not the one being judged anymore. You're the proof. And the world finally sees what you saw all along. Number 8. They tried to delete you, but the universe doesn't erase what it intentionally created. You can't delete a soul the universe handcrafted. Every attempt to erase you just burns their own fingerprints deeper into the truth. That's exactly what's happening now. They wanted you wiped out emotionally, mentally, socially. They wanted you edited out like you were a typo in their storyline. But energy doesn't vanish because insecure people wish it would. Truth doesn't die because liars vote on it. Reality keeps receipts, and every lie they stacked is contradicting itself in front of everyone. Imagine this. They tried to paint over your existence with cheap colors, hoping no one would notice. But the universe kept lifting the paint back up like, nah, that's not how this works. They wanted to rewrite history, but history has a backbone. Every smear they used is now boomeranging back, hitting them harder than anything you could have thrown. And the best part? They can't explain any of it. And maybe you've wondered, why did they want me gone so badly? Why erase me? Because your spirit was too real for their illusion. Your honesty ruined their performance. Your presence disrupted the fake peace they were desperately trying to maintain. You were the truth in a room full of actors, and that terrified them. They mistook your quiet strength for weakness, not realizing you were the anchor holding their whole facade together. Lies collapse fastest when they're built around someone honest. Now look at them. Their calm is cracking. Their credibility is leaking. Their stories don't match. Their energy feels off. They can't keep the mask glued on anymore. The truth they buried didn't stay buried. It rose, louder, bigger, sharper. It's rewriting itself into the story they tried to control, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. This isn't punishment. You're not watching revenge. This is the universe restoring balance, correcting the distortion they created. They tried to delete you, but all they did was delete their own stability. You didn't need to fight for justice. You became the justice. You're not revenge. You're the restoration. Number 9. The final shift isn't approaching. It's hitting them like a wave they can't outrun. People laugh at consequences until the consequences show up laughing at them. And that's exactly the stage they're standing on now. They mocked what they couldn't see. They played games with energy they didn't respect. They thought nothing would bounce back, nothing would surface, nothing would expose them. But the universe never lets unpaid debts disappear. Every ounce of negativity they threw at you has circled back, multiplied, amplified, impossible to deny. Imagine this. They spent years tossing stones behind closed doors, thinking the world would never hear the echoes. Now those echoes sound like thunder right in their faces. The forces they denied, the truth they dismissed, the consequences they swore didn't exist. Those forces are surrounding them now with a mirror so clear it's practically blinding. They can't look away from what they've created. They can't hide from the reflection anymore. And I know you've wondered, is this real? Is this finally happening? Yes. This isn't a warning. This isn't a prediction. This is the moment. The final shift isn't on its way. It has arrived. Quietly, completely, unapologetically. When truth arrives, it doesn't send notifications. It delivers impact. Look at you. You're still standing, not shaking, not shrinking. You're stronger than the version of you they attacked, wiser than the person they underestimated, unstoppable in ways they never prepared for. They tried to erase you, but instead they spotlighted your resilience. They became unwilling proof of why the universe marked you to stand out in the first place. Their downfall isn't your victory, it's their truth finally catching up. And your rise, that's the shift, the final one, the one they never believed would come until it hit them head-on. Number 10. Their lies crumbled the second you stood back up. A liar's biggest fear isn't getting caught, it's realizing the person they tried to bury came back stronger than the dirt they threw. That alone is enough to make them flinch, because nothing destroys a false narrative faster than the survival of the person it was built against. They spent years pushing stories, planting doubts, rehearsing victim roles, and sculpting themselves into saints while painting you as the problem. But every lie they crafted had one fatal weakness: they never planned for your return. Imagine them building a whole tower of deception, brick by brick, confident it would stand forever. They decorated it, bragged about it, invited people to admire it. But the moment you got back up, steady, healed, unbothered, the entire structure shook. That's the thing about lies. They collapse under the weight of truth, and your survival was the truth they couldn't silence. Now look at them scrambling, trying to rewrite their rewrites, trying to apologize without owning anything, trying to act like misunderstandings just magically happened on their own. But truth isn't confused. Truth doesn't stutter. Truth doesn't need permission to stand. And I know you might wonder, why does my survival bother them this much? Because your strength exposes their story. Your resilience makes their version impossible to believe. Your comeback invalidates everything they built. Nothing ruins a lie faster than the person it was aimed at refusing to die. You didn't rise to spite them. You rose because the universe was done letting frauds narrate your life like they owned the script. Their power was borrowed. Their influence was temporary. Their performance was fragile from the beginning. And now, your truth is permanent. Your presence is undeniable. Your survival is the wrecking ball they never accounted for. Number 11. What they built to trap you turned into the blueprint that freed you. Every trap they set became a lesson. Every lesson became a weapon they never meant for you to have. That's the punch they deserve, because the truth is hilarious in the most poetic way. They tried to break you with silence, gaslighting and confusion, thinking that if they shrunk your world small enough, you'd never spot the exits. But every move they made, every lie, every betrayal, every manipulative twist, sharpened you instead of shattering you. Imagine them designing a maze with the confidence of architects who thought you'd get lost forever. They crafted dead ends with their gossip. They built walls out of emotional games. They placed mirrors everywhere to distort your reflection. They were so sure you'd panic in the dark, but they forgot one thing: chosen ones don't freeze in darkness. They adapt. They learn the layout. They memorize the energy. They sense the patterns. By the time you walked out of their maze, you didn't just escape. You carried the blueprint in your head, like a map burned into your intuition. Now you read people in seconds. You catch manipulation before it speaks. You see red flags flashing like billboards. And the funniest part, they taught you every bit of it without realizing it. You might have wondered, why did I have to go through that? Because that maze built your vision. Their tricks built your instincts. Their betrayals built your clarity. They wanted you blind, but their games gave you X-ray sight. The map that frees you is almost always drawn by the hands that tried to trap you. They didn't guide you. They exposed themselves. They revealed their patterns. They revealed their strategy. They revealed their fear of your potential. And now, You move through life with a level of awareness they never meant for you to have. Their maze didn't imprison you, it upgraded you. The blueprint they accidentally created is the exact thing that set you free. And now there's no trap they can build that you can't walk out of. Number 12. Their obsession didn't mean they won. It meant they were scared of you. People don't monitor what they've mastered. They track what threatens everything they pretend to be. That's the punch they deserve, because their obsession with you wasn't admiration, curiosity, or concern. It was fear wearing a cheap disguise. They stalked your steps, copied your style, mimicked your ideas, and studied your emotions like you were a puzzle they couldn't solve. And the whole time, they acted unbothered, as if you were invisible. But obsession always leaks. It always shows. Imagine them pretending to be above you while quietly checking your every move, like they were keeping score in a game you didn't even know existed. They tracked your wins because each one hit their ego like a punch. They tracked your losses because it gave them temporary relief. They tracked your energy because yours always outshined theirs. Every time you shifted, they panicked. Every time you grew, they spiraled. Every time you healed, they lost control of the narrative they built about you. And you might ask yourself, why were they so focused on me? Because you were everything they weren't, but desperately wanted to be. Your resilience triggered their insecurity. Your presence exposed their hollowness. Your growth highlighted their stagnation. Obsession doesn't reveal your weakness, it exposes theirs. They didn't just watch you. They studied you like homework they couldn't complete even with the answers in front of them. Every attempt to copy you, every subtle jab, every weird fixation wasn't power. It was panic. They saw you rising and thought if they could understand you, they could control you. But chosen ones aren't predictable. And you weren't moving for their comfort. You were moving because growth is in your nature. Now look at the shift. People are noticing their patterns. Everyone sees the inconsistencies, the weird envy, the strange fixation they tried to hide. Their obsession isn't flattering, it's humiliating. It screams insecurity. It screams fear. It screams, this person threatens me just by existing. They tried to silence your truth, but the more they pushed, the more obvious their fear became. Their obsession didn't make you small. It made their weakness impossible to hide. Number 13. The power they tried to drain from you came back like a flood they can't outrun. Anyone who steals your energy forgets one thing. The universe doesn't just return what was taken, it adds interest so heavy it crushes the thief first. That's exactly what's unfolding now. They fed off your kindness like parasites pretending to be friends. They fed off your confusion because your clarity would have exposed them. They fed off your vulnerability because your strength would have outshined them. They thought draining you was strategy. They thought weakening you was control. But stolen power never lasts. It rots in the hands that take it. Imagine them trying to plug into your energy like thieves breaking into a vault, not realizing the universe had cameras everywhere. Every emotional withdrawal they made, recorded. Every manipulation, tagged. Every moment they siphoned your light, logged like evidence. And now that the universe hit refund, everything they stole is rushing back to you multiplied. Your clarity is cutthroat. Your intuition hits like lightning. Your presence has weight they can't stand under anymore. And you might wonder, why are they shrinking now? Because their influence was borrowed. Their confidence was stolen. Their strength wasn't real. It was yours on loan. You can't steal someone's fire and expect not to get burned. Look at them now, fading, deflated, lost in their own shadows. The same people who once walked tall, using your energy as their backbone, are collapsing because the universe repossessed everything they took. Their pockets are empty, their aura is dim, their mask is slipping because there's no stolen power left to hold it up. Meanwhile, look at you. You didn't just bounce back. You came back overcharged, stronger, brighter, sharper. They wanted your glow, but they triggered your ignition. And now, they can't handle the light you walk with. Because it's the power they tried and failed to steal. So Chosen One, the truth is out, Chosen One, and there's no going back. Everything they built against you collapsed. Everything they stole returned to you stronger, and every lie they told is now screaming their guilt louder than you ever needed to. You rose anyway, and that rise is the final message they can't silence. If you felt this in your chest, press that like button if you haven't already. And if you're still not part of this family, hit subscribe so you never walk this journey alone again. Your glow is only getting stronger from here.